Jawaharlal Nehru. Jawaharlal Nehru was an Indian independence activist, and subsequently, the first Prime Minister of India and a central figure in Indian politics before the fall after independence. He emerged as an eminent leader of the Indian independence movement under the tutelage of Mahatma Gandhi, and served India as Prime Minister from its establishment as an independent nation in 1947 until his death in 1964. He has been described by the Amar Chitra Katha as the architect of India. He was also known as Pandit Nehru due to his roots with the Kashmiri Pandit community, while Indian children knew him as Kashmiri Uncle Nehru. Jawaharlal Nehru was born on November 14, 1889 in Allahabad in British India. His father, Motilal Nehru, a self-made wealthy barrister who belonged to the Kashmiri Pandit community, served twice as president of the Indian National Congress, in 1919 and 1928. His mother, Swaruprani Thussu, who came from a well-known Kashmiri Brahmin family settled in Lahore, was Motilal's second wife, the first having died in childbirth. Jawaharlal was the eldest of 3 children, 2 of whom were girls. The elder sister, Vijayalakshmi, later became the first female president of the United Nations General Assembly. The youngest sister, Krishnapati Singh, became a noted writer and authored several books on her brother. Nehru went to Trinity College, Cambridge in October 1907 and graduated with an honours degree in natural science in 1910. During this period, he also studied politics, economics, history and literature desultorily. Writings of Bernard Shaw, H.G. Wells, J.M. Keynes, Bertrand Russell, Louis Dickinson and Meredith Townsend molded much of his political and economic thinking. After completing his degree in 1910, Nehru moved to London and studied law at Temple Inn. During this time, he continued to study the scholars of the Fabian Society, including Beatrice Webb. He was called to the bar in 1912. Nehru was one of the first nationalist leaders to realize the sufferings of the people in the states ruled by Indian princes. In 1923, he suffered imprisonment in Nabha, a princely state, when he went there to see the struggle that was being waged by the Sikhs against the corrupt Mahan. Nehru and most of the Congress leaders were ambivalent about Gandhi's plan to begin civil disobedience with a Satyagraha aimed at the British salt tax. After the protest gathered steam, they realized the power of salt as a symbol. Nehru remarked about the unprecedented popular response. It seemed as though a spring had been suddenly released. He was arrested on April 14, 1930 while on train from Allahabad for Raipur. He was charged with breach of the salt law, tried summarily behind prison walls and sentenced to 6 months of imprisonment. He nominated Gandhi to succeed him as Congress president during his absence in jail, but Gandhi declined, and Nehru nominated his father as his successor. With Nehru's arrest, the civil disobedience acquired a new tempo, and arrests, firing on crowds and lathi charges grew to be ordinary occurrences. The Salt Satyagraha succeeded in drawing the attention of the world. Indian, British, and world opinion increasingly began to recognize the legitimacy of the claims by the Congress Party for independence. Nehru served as Prime Minister for 18 years, first as the interim Prime Minister and from 1950 as the Prime Minister of the Republic of India. There were 4 known assassination attempts on Nehru. The first attempt on his life was during partition in 1947 while he was visiting Northwest Frontier Province, now in Pakistan, in a car. The second one was by a knife-wielding rickshaw puller in Maharashtra in 1955. The third one happened in Bombay, now Maharashtra, in 1956. The fourth one was a failed bombing attempt on train tracks in Maharashtra in 1961. Despite threats to his life, Nehru despised having too much security around him and did not like to disrupt traffic due to his movement. Nehru's health began declining steadily after 1962, and he spent months recuperating in Kashmir through 1963. Upon his return from Dehradun on May 26, 1964, he was feeling quite comfortable and went to bed at about 23:30 as usual. He had a restful night until about 6:30. Soon after he returned from bathroom, Nehru complained of pain in the back. He spoke to the doctors who attended on him for a brief while and almost immediately Nehru collapsed. He remained unconscious until he died. His death was announced to Lok Sabha at 14 o'clock local time on May 27, 1964, same day. Cause of death is believed to be heart attack. Draped in the Indian national tricolour flag, the body of Jawaharlal Nehru was placed for public viewing. Rabhapati Radhavaraharam was chanted as the body was placed on the platform. On May 28, Nehru was cremated in accordance with Hindu rites at the Shantivan on the banks of the Yena, witnessed by 1.5 million mourners who had flocked into the streets of Delhi and the cremation grounds. The death was announced to the Indian Parliament in words similar to Nehru's own at the time of Gandhi's assassination. The light is out. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to Footprints for more videos.